Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Adesanya show. I'm glad that you're here today. This is where I share resources to help SMEs thrive. So it's been a very busy day for me. So I'm gonna at least give some good tips. And so happy to be here and glad that you're with me today. And so today I have another interesting topic, right? And you know, and let me say a disclaimer. Let me use a disclaimer first of all. This is not a bad thing I'm going to say because the topic might seem bad when I say getting a tax deduction from a freeloader. So when you hear freeloader, you go, oh my goodness, it's someone that is a bad person, a parasite. No, 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 no. I'm looking for the word that works best here because, freeloader is not in the bad sense. It's someone that, well, might be living with you because maybe there's someone that is living with you to go to school. Maybe it's not your child, or you're helping somebody out. So really, it's not in the bad sense of the word. It could be, you're just helping somebody else to get their footing, getting them back on their feet. So I'm not saying this in a bad way. So, but I was looking for the word to really explain that. I had to just use that word because it's just, I mean, that really would apply because we're looking for a way where you can actually take a tax deduction for that person, right? Now, um, so I'm delving into qualifying relative. So I'm not just tagging this as qualifying relative because some people might say, "Oh yeah, it's just for relative." No, 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 no. When you hear a qualifying relative dependent, right? Qualifying relative dependent, right? You might wonder what is that because remember there's qualifying child to get maybe a tax deduction. There's also a qualifying relative, right? And you know what? That relative is not really relative. Of course, relative, there's an area that, yes, a section or a part of the relative that what I'm going to talk about that relates to someone that, yes, is related to you, really, really, yeah. But they don't really have to be related to you when it comes to qualifying relative, right? So highlighting a couple of things therefore for us to know. Now, what makes someone a qualifying relative, right? So a qualifying relative, number one, must not be a qualifying child. So what do I mean by that? There's a qualifying child where, of course, when somebody is your child, you can take that deduction. And I know I've heard people say, "Oh, but my child is gonna be 18, right? Is that possible? Anything less than 19, right, is a qualifying child. Now, if the child, I'm going to add to that, if the child is a student, when it's less than 19, you don't have to worry about if the person is a student or not, as long as the child is that age, within that age range, right? Less than 19. Now, if the child is a student, right? Now, the age goes up. So the qualifying child reaches up to age 24, to 24. So that follows that, I believe 24, yes. 24 less, but anyway, 23, 24. Yes, I've misspoken there, but up to that age, as long as the child is a student, right? So once that passes, assuming the child is 22, and is not a student, that child, well, is an adult, but for tax purposes, you cannot call that person a qualifying child, right? But maybe the person still lives with you, then the person will go under qualifying relative, all right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Age is a factor when it comes to qualifying child. Now, we're talking about qualifying relative because a lot of people help people out, help people stay with you, and which is a very good thing. And so thank you out there for helping people out is good. People maybe have to come, they move to another city and they don't even have a job and they stay with you for up to a year, and they're getting their footing right. That's fine. So you can claim this person as a qualifying relative. And that person, the person doesn't have to be related to you at all. As long if the person stays with you for the year. If the person stays with you for the year, of course, that person will not be a qualifying child. That's first of all. The person stays with you for a year, right? It's part of your household for that year. And also, the person does not claim income in excess of 5,500. Now, please don't get so stuck up with the what I just said with amount, because this amount changes. It's index to inflation. So you might be listening or watching this show maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now. That what I just gave you is likely to change. So make sure that you're looking at, okay, does the person end up to that threshold? If the person doesn't up to that threshold, you're good to go. That person, right? And remember that that's the only, okay, that's the third condition. I won't say you're good to go. Let's go to the fourth condition. The fourth one is that you must provide at least 50% of that person's keep. I remember I had a client that we had to actually, I know, the child was working, but the child was no more a qualifying child, but he was working and of course did not meet the threshold. But we had to see if everything she does or she did for the child was not over 50%, more than half, right? To make sure, because I always try to make sure that my client can defend the position they take, right? And so, why am I bringing this up, right? A lot of times, again, we're very helpful. And I know that most people are not helpful just because of a tax deduction. No. But what about if you can actually have a double whammy? Being nice to people, as you're always nice, right? Giving people an opportunity use, use your, maybe your home, staying with you, providing for the person. And then the other side would be, getting a tax deduction, right? Because you're doing that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And so, make sure you're looking at that to see if you can get that benefit and see. Because again, I know a lot of times, even families, or friends will send people, oh yeah, my high school classmate, call a high school classmate. So my daughter is coming to school in your state. Could you, stay with her? Could she stay with you for some time? Or my son, or just help her get some footing, right? Something like that, or let the person live with you or something like that. But of course, there cannot be double dipping, right? You cannot, if the person just relocates, remember, if the person is a student and is within that age range, right? The parents will claim. But if the person is over that age, the threshold, right? Of course, then it falls under qualifying relative, right? But if the person is not actually related to you, of course, there are lists of specific, you know, relatives, right? If the person not really related, if it's not related to you, right? The person must stay within your household for that year. All right. I know, I'm just highlighting things. Of course, it's very important for you to go, work with the professionals to say, okay, this is what is happening here. Do I qualify? Or does this person qualify because the person stayed with me? So half of that, because sometimes, right, you have people that have a lot of people supporting them, right? So if you're not the person supporting them up to that, more than 50%, right? Remember, all the conditions must be met. Not one, not two, not three, but all the four conditions must be met. All right. But yeah, they must be met. All right. And I always tell people, don't be worried. About, claiming what is you're supposed to claim, right? As long as you're sure, right? You're actually claiming it correctly. And that's why I always say work with a professional. So go out there and, get the benefit of also, get the benefit of actually, you're a blessing, being a blessing, get the benefit of that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So remember, if the person is a qualifying child, the person cannot be a qualifying relative. And the person cannot. That's the first thing, right? So make sure you find out if the person is a qualifying child first, right? And remember, for a qualifying child, the income threshold does not apply, right? So make sure, just don't, let's don't get mixed up. Of course, just, don't mix it up. But again, it's important for you to work with a professional to help you navigate, navigate all the benefits of getting, the highest or the great tax deduction, all right, in the right way. All right. So glad that you're here. I know it's busy time for for us, the firm, but I'm happy that I was able to step in today to speak to everybody. Now, again, tax law continues to change. I'm not an attorney. I am a CPA, but we work with the Internal Revenue Code, right? But just know that tax regulations, tax laws, and they all continue to change. And it's very important for you to make sure you're working with a professional because, again, you might watch this video or this show, or say this show, um, maybe when something changes, when the provisions of what I've just said changes, right? Or has changed. So it's important for you to work with a professional. And of course, if you don't have anyone working with you, yours truly, you can actually reach out to my practice. All right, have a good one. And of course, everything I say here is for informative and educative purposes only. And of course, for your business, your SME, which is small and medium-sized enterprise to thrive, you must be what? Intentional.